Hello everybody, welcome to After School Adventures Thanksgiving Edition. We are also going to be making some festive headwear. We're going to be making a turkey hat that I will be wearing all day on Thanksgiving. Alright, so we're going to get started. We're going to make some turkey hats. So you're going to need some construction paper. You're going to need some scissors. You're going to need some tape. And that's pretty much it. So, it's going to look like a turkey is sitting on your head, which I think is very funny. So, you're ideally going to have some brown construction paper. I do not have brown construction paper. I do have orange, which I will use. So, it's going to be like a headband across your head in a circle, and then we're going to have tail out the back. We're going to have turkey face out the front, and we're going to have some legs. So the hardest part is going to be measuring the proper size for your head, because it's kind of a pain. So what you're going to want to do is I'm going to take a piece of construction paper and I'm going to cut it into strips. So it depends on what size you want it to be. I think I'm going to do it into thirds, meaning 3 equal sections of this piece of paper. And then we're going to measure the correct size for our heads. Alright, so I cut my sheet of paper into thirds about. I mean, it's not exact, but that doesn't matter. And then I'm going to just take the sides, the long sides, put them together like this, and tape them together. And hopefully 2 will be big enough to wrap around my head, but who knows. I'll try at first with 2. And then if I need to add the third, I'll add the third. And you just want it to kind of sit lightly on your head. You definitely don't want it tight because it's just paper, right? So if it's too tight, it's going to rip. So let's see. Ooh. Let's see. Can I fit it? I think I'm going to have to add the third. I've got a big head. That's all right. I'm just teasing. Everybody's head shape is a little bit different, right? Let's see. So now this is going to be way too long. Way too long. So I'm just going to cut off like half of the first one. And you don't really have to do that, but it kind of just makes it easier to deal with. So, taped up both sides as well. Just so I don't have any paper flapping around and getting in the way, right? Getting stuck in my hair. So I'm going to wrap it around. Actually, I'll do it this way so you guys can see. Wrap it around. So this is a pretty comfortable fit right here. And I'm just holding it together with my fingers. And while I'm doing that, I'll grab a piece of tape. Holding it together, and I'll just tape it inside. And there we go. So that should be a good size headband for you. Hopefully you've got that. And I just cut off a bit of the extra, and again I'll just tape it down the outside so we don't have any extra bits flying around. Alright. Here's my headband. Looks nice. I like it. But it is missing a turkey. So let's add the turkey. We're going to start with the tail. It's going to be a little bit easier with that one. And then we'll get moving to the head and the feet. So for the tail, I think it's fun to do a bunch of different multicolored colors. And we're just going to cut out big feathers. So I'm just going to do a general feather shape. I'm not being very exact at all with this, so we want it nice and pointy on the end and kind of bubble out though. There's that. Kind of looks like a leaf, right? So you could, if you wanted to, just cut little lines in it. Just little, like that. Kind of like how a feather, it gets splits in it, right? Sure, plenty of you have chickens on your farm, maybe even turkeys. So there's my feather. I've cut the splits in just for fun, but again, you don't really need to do that. This is all you. You do what you want to do, all right? So I'm going to do 2 green feathers because I like green. And they can be all different sizes, all different shapes if you wanted. They don't even need to be feathers. They could be stars or hearts. You could have an alien turkey sitting on your head. I think that's very funny. But I'm going to go with the traditional, you know, just to show you guys. Maybe the next one, though, will be an alien turkey. So I've got green. Now I'm going to pull a purple. I think that would be nice. Out of my book, purple sheet. Same general shape. And I'm just going to cut a bunch of these out, and then I'll catch up with you. Alright, so I've got a bunch of feathers here that I cut out. So now it's time to stick it onto our turkey. So, I've got my headband. I'm going to pick what is the front. I think it's going to be right here since there's no tape there, which means that about here is the back. And that's where I'm going to start building out my feathers. So I'm just going to I cut out one extra big one. I'll show you it here if I can get it untangled. There it is. I got one extra big one, so I'm going to put it right smack dab in the middle of my head. So I'm just going to take tape. I'm going to put it on the bottom there. I'm going to take my crown. I'm just going to stick it on like that. It's really that easy. And then you can do whatever pattern you like. You can kind of make them go in opposite directions. I'm going to do a couple at a time just to make this go even faster because we do have a cake to get back to. All right. And, oop, I just dropped my tape. And they're going to be a bit floppy. So that's all right because feathers are kind of floppy. Or if you want, you can take some cardboard and stick it up the back and then tape a couple of the ones that are flopping over on the back there. But you don't really need to. So here, I'm just putting, it's good to actually do a couple at a time. So I'm doing it like this. I'm taking 2, I'm putting them together like this, and I'm just making sure the tape is touching both of them. So it's got a little bit on the red and mostly on the yellow. And I'm just sticking it down where I want it. There. So I think that's looking pretty good. It doesn't look that nice like in here, but that's going to be covered by your head, so it doesn't matter. What you really want to focus on is all the stuff up there. So I'm going to add, because I missed my green, I'm going to add those in, and then we'll get started on the head. So here's how it looks so far. Now we want to move on to the head. So you're going to want to take your toilet paper roll, and we're actually going to cut it in half, which is not that easy to do. Just because you cut one side, it's going hunky-dory, no problems. And then you go to cut the other side, and it's kind of hard to tell where half is because it keeps curling in on itself. So just around half. Don't have to worry too much. There we go. 2 curly halves. And that's going to be our turkey neck. So we're going to take our half that we're using. And what you're going to do is you just want it to kind of sit on top of your hat. So it'll go right in there. So you're going to want to cut slits just about, let's say 1/4 of the way in from the edge. So you're going to cut some longish slits. So see, I'm going about 1/4 of the way. And I'm just going to cut up like that. So maybe that's an inch, I'm going to say. Up. But it doesn't really matter what size, but you want it fairly big. But the most important thing is that it's kind of even with the other side. There we go. There. So it's about even. So it's going to sit on the paper like this. So you'll slide it into those slits, and then that's how it'll sit. So that's kind of cool. It'll sit at the front of your hat. And when you are building it, it's going to kind of flop around and stuff. And once it's on your head, it should stick pretty well. But if not, just throw a couple pieces of tape on there and it'll be good. So there's our neck. Now we got to build out the head. You're going to take your construction paper that you want for a face, and we're just going to cut out a little guy's face. So I'm going to cut out a nice circle for my turkey. And I'm going to cut out a beak for him. And maybe one of those red neck things. I'll give him one of those. Why not? By the way, I just motioned at my face with scissors. Don't do that. You should be more careful with scissors than I just was. That was not smart of me. Alright, so here is my little neck thing. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. It's the thing that hangs down and then go gobble gobble and it shakes around. I don't know what it is. Kind of looks like this. So we've got that, and I'll get a beak. So let me grab my yellow paper. Where'd it go? Here it is. Cut a little triangle. And there we go. Little triangle. Tape it all together. Let's see, we've got a beak. Tape it on there. Let's see, what am I going to do? Let's go beak on the bottom with our little red thing hanging out like that. How does that look, you guys? I think it looks pretty good. Slap some tape on there. And a little bit more, just make sure nothing falls. Alright, and he's missing some eyes, isn't he? So I'm just going to use a marker. If you've got some googly eyes lying around, I think that would be really funny. But I do not have any on me right now, unfortunately. So he's just going to have normal eyes. And maybe I'll give him a couple nostrils. The nostrils are on the beak for the turkey, actually. So I'll put those on there. There. So I will take my tube. I'll take my turkey face. Just tape it on top there. And there's his face. The last thing to do will be the legs. Alright, so here's how it's looking so far. I've got my head on. Now it's time to add the feet. So for the feet, you're going to want a strip of paper. I'm going to use red, but you could maybe use yellow. That's kind of a good chicken leg color. And we're going to cut some long strips and then a little bit of a ball on the end for the foot. So I'm going to go not very wide at all. See, this is going to be the leg, so maybe the width of my pinky, because we want it to kind of move around a lot. So we don't want it too heavy and bulky. So I'm cutting the strip and then I just went out and I'll just curl back in. So that'll be a little foot. And I'll just do a second one of those. So let's see. Maybe I'll go off from this side and I'll cut down. Oh, and a little ball foot. And I'll just cut that off because that's not going to be any use for us. So there's one, there's two. Not really the same length, which is kind of fun, but I'm going to make them the same length just cuz. Alright, so these are our feet and they're going to hang around here. But these are looking pretty long, right? They're hanging all the way past my chin. So what we're going to do, so they wiggle around even more, is we're going to fold these up kind of. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it and we're going to just fold it a bit. You can pick how long you want it, but maybe a couple centimeters is what you want, about, but it doesn't really matter. But what we're going to do is then we're going to keep folding that same length. So I had the first fold, I folded it in, and then you just fold it in again, that same size. And I'm going to do that all the way down until I reach the foot. And I'm going to do it about the same size, but again, doesn't need to be perfect. Never, ever needs to be perfect. So it looks like that. Now it's a really tiny foot, right? That hardly counts as a leg. But then you pull it out, you kind of shake it up. And there, we've got a springy little foot there. So we've got one. Let's do the second one. So I'm going to fold it up nice and tight. So we're pressing down on the seam, like on the fold spots, so that we get a mark in the page. So then we're able to make those springs. All right, so there, I'm going to shake it out again. And there's my other springy foot. So I guess I'll have to take my hat off for this. And I'm going to actually take off the turkey head too, because that can just kind of get in the way. But we're going to go, so here's our front of our hat. We're going to go just on the sides, kind of where your ears would hit. And we're just going to tape the top to the inside there. And then those legs will hang down by our ears. And that'll be kind of funny. We'll bounce around when we run. All right, so there's one. And there is two. All right, so I'll put this all back together and then I'll show you how it looks at the end. All right, so here's the finished product. Whoa. I can't get it all in there. There we go. So we've got a tail, we've got a head, we've got a neck, we've got some feet. So I think we can officially be called a turkey. So maybe you can wear this around on Thanksgiving Day, but don't wear it too long. Thanksgiving is not the best days for turkeys to be hanging around. But now that we have this already, I think we should go and check on our... Thank you guys for joining me. I thought this was a really fun week. I love the way my cake turned out. I love the way my hat turned out. And I can't wait for the weekend. I don't know about you guys, but I have some family coming out. It's going to be really fun. All right, so you guys have a happy Thanksgiving. See you guys next week. Bye. Let's take one final look at our cake. Woo, look at that. I can't wait to eat it.